Today's session will be a panel discussion on how marketing and BD teams can collaborate effectively with fee earners to enhance client relationships, to anticipate and adapt to changing client expectations, and what support fee earners really value from their marketing and BD teams. It's sort of a two-part question for you. You mentioned, obviously, you became partner at the start of the pandemic. How has the move to more digital marketing and more virtual BD perhaps helped you, given your international focus? And I know you embraced change. I know you embraced new ideas like videos during this time. And then how can you or could you effectively brainstorm and innovate with your marketing BD team to continually develop new ideas for marketing?
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, so as I said, I work in private wealth, so that's a lot of personal tax advice, personal succession planning advice for individuals, and a lot of our work comes through intermediaries. So and a lot of my clients have an international focus, so that involves me having a network in other jurisdictions of local lawyers, banks in those jurisdictions, trust and corporate service providers. So it's about trying to make those connections and then maintain those connections and build strong relationships. And I guess a lot, prior to the pandemic, that was nearly all done face to face, going out and meeting people. And I guess the one good thing that maybe came out of the pandemic was the sort of move to there being a virtual world, and that there was the technology available so that you could have Zoom meetings, team meetings, hosting webinars and so on in a way that had maybe the pandemic struck 10 years earlier, we just wouldn't have been able to do.
Yeah, we certainly, as I said at the beginning, the thrust of our business development as a partnership has been sort of driven by the partners, but this has certainly been changing over time, certainly with more support from managers and specialists within some of our teams when we're pitching for new work. Our opportunities historically, and we sort of look at this from time to time, continue to come through contact with fellow professionals, our clients, international network. And these channels have typically produced probably between 80 and 90% of our new work. The pandemic and how that sort of impacted life, we certainly had a bit of a lull in 2020 and 2021 in terms of a pretty low level of client movement or opportunity, people keeping their heads down and sort of making sure their businesses got through those periods.
How are you and your marketing team anticipating what your future clients will look like, what services they'll require, and how are you adapting your marketing and your BD accordingly?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I think my client range will remain diverse. I certainly hope that it will remain pretty broad, as it keeps the day job interesting. But their expectations in our service is continually changing and will continue to change. For as long as I've been in practice, the legal profession has talked about adding value and added value. And that element, in providing something above the black letter law is just increasingly growing and growing. And I think in the future that will continue to happen. Certainly, if you look pre-COVID and your marketing kind of expectations, events and conferences, there's now an expectation that you'll provide something much